Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Disney video for you. I'm like really eking this whole Disney thing out. But yeah, hopefully you will have seen my Disneyland Paris vlogs. If not, I'll link them down below so you can go and check them out. But I thought I would do a trip report from my trip to Disneyland Paris, just of the things that I learnt along the way, things I picked up, just so that if you're planning to go perhaps for the first time, or even if it's not the first time, it just might give you some more pointers of things you could do to make it a better holiday or an easier holiday, things to avoid doing that maybe I did that I would maybe not do next time. So yeah, I have got my laptop. So if I keep looking down, that's why, because I've got my list on here. I kind of made a list as I went along through the holiday of anything that I kind of thought, oh, that would be quite useful to know, or I would have found that quite useful to know before I'd gone. So I've got quite a list for you. I've tried to split it up into different sections just to make it a little bit easier, and I will try and put some footage over it as well, just so that it's not just me talking to you. So yeah, I think I should get started because I've got a lot of tips for you. So the first section I've put as travel. This will obviously depend on what way is going to be easiest for you to travel, because I think it depends where you are in the country, whether it's easier to travel by plane or Eurostar or the Eurotunnel or ferry. But these are kind of the things that I have picked up. So the first one is quite an important one, and it's basically if you need a wheelchair space on the Eurostar, I would really recommend booking as early as you can, because we weren't able to get a wheelchair space for me. I mean, we booked quite far in advance, well, not quite a year. I think we booked in the January and we went in the September, and on the dates we wanted to go there weren't any wheelchair spaces. Basically, I think on each Eurostar train there are only 2 wheelchair spaces, and trains do not go from St Pancras straight to Disney that often, so they get booked up really quickly. So I would just recommend signing up to their newsletter, and then if you know you're booking or wanting to go to Disney, as soon as the tickets are released, book them, because otherwise you'll end up having to, I mean, we went in Premier and had to fold my wheelchair down, and it just would have been a lot easier if we would have had a wheelchair space. The second thing that I would recommend is that however you're travelling, try and get quite an early crossing the day you're going, because then you get more of that day to spend in the Disney park. And also the day you're leaving, try and make sure that your train or your plane or whatever is as late as you can get it, because then you've got the morning to spend in the Disney park as well, and it just means you get a bit of extra time, as well as the days that you're there fully. So we had quite an early crossing on the Eurostar to get over there, so it meant we got there by about lunchtime, so we had lunch in the afternoon, and then when we left, our train wasn't until sort of 5 o'clock, so it meant we had we had all of the morning and then lunch, and then we could go and get our train, and it just meant we had a little bit more time just because of the way we'd planned it out. On the topic of Eurostar, I would say that we were quite glad that we went by the Eurostar. I mean, it worked better for us anyway because we live reasonably close to St Pancras. But yeah, we bought quite a lot of merchandise between all of us and had a lot of bags. And basically, I think if we had been going on a plane, we would have struggled because we would have had more than our baggage allowance. Whereas with the Eurostar, they were quite happy for us to just carry on our merchandise bags and stuff. So I would say if you're planning to buy lots, either have a separate suitcase that you can fill up with stuff, or go by Eurostar because it made it a lot easier for us. Also, if you're staying in a Disney hotel, if you've got a lot of time before you have to leave that day, they will actually look after your suitcases. So we were kind of worried that, because we had to check out at 10 or something, and our train wasn't until 5, so we were kind of thinking, oh, we're gonna have to trek around the park with all our suitcases and stuff. But your Disney hotel will actually look after your cases. They'll put them on a trolley thing with a label, and then when it's time for you to go, they will just find your trolley and give you your suitcases back. So that was really, really helpful, because it meant we could enjoy our time in the parks without carrying around loads and loads of stuff, which you don't need when you're trying to get around a theme park. And then the last thing about travel is about the shuttle bus. So if you're staying in one of the Disney hotels, apart from the Davy Crockett's Ranch, I think, you're entitled to like the free shuttle bus, which goes between the Eurostar and your hotels. So when we got there, we didn't actually use the shuttle bus, we walked. And it was a bit of a faff because we had all our bags, we had me in my wheelchair, but it wasn't that far to, like, from the Eurostar to the Hotel New York where we were staying. On the way back, we decided to get the shuttle bus because we had a lot of like stuff that we'd bought and things. And it was helpful. So I'm not saying like don't take the shuttle bus, because it meant that we weren't having to trek through the park with all our stuff. But we did find that it was a lot quicker to walk. The shuttle bus took a lot longer, it got stuck in traffic, it has to go around all the different hotels before you get to the Eurostar terminal. So it depends whether you want the comfort of sitting in a bus and just taking your time, or whether you want to be there quickly. If you want to be there quickly, we personally found it would be easier to walk. So the next section that I've made, I've just generally called the parks, because it's just about all different things kind of within the parks. The first thing that I would want to like pass on to you is that the Disneyland Railroad, I think, is a really nice way of seeing the whole park, and I kind of wish we'd done it at the beginning of our holiday. We did try, but it had broken down. But I think it would be quite a nice thing to do like right at the beginning, because it takes you all around all the different like areas of the park. And it's just a nice way of like seeing what there is there. It's also quite a good way, like if you're not wanting to walk from like one side of the park to the other, then you can just get the train, and it goes quite regularly, and it's just a nice, yeah, it's a nice way of getting from like A to B without having to walk through all the crowds and stuff. So yeah, me and my dad did that, and I think my mum really wanted to do it, but it just didn't work out with time. But I would really recommend like giving the railroad a go, because yeah, it was good, and you see bits of the park that you may not see like if you're walking around as well. So I would really recommend that. The next thing I would say is about the Star Tours ride. Now don't get me wrong, it is a really good ride, and it's like if you're into Star Wars or anything like that, I think you would love it. However, like, do not go on it if you get motion sickness. Now it does warn you about that. We missed the warning. So me, my sister and my dad went on it, and I've been on it before and I haven't been ill, but this time I think they've changed it a bit, and basically this time like my dad gets really bad motion sickness, and I looked over like halfway through the ride and he had like, he'd gone white, he'd got his eyes closed because he just couldn't cope with it anymore, and he felt really ill. My sister felt ill and I felt quite unwell. So basically if you get motion sickness, I just wouldn't chance it, because yeah, it made us feel quite ill. If you don't get motion sickness, go for it, because it's a really good ride. But I just thought I would like put out that warning, because we missed the written warning before we went in, because we went through the disabled entrance. So yeah, I would definitely just stay clear of it if you're not if you're like get motion sickness. This is kind of like, I don't know, it's partly disability related and partly just like normal related, but I did find that when you're going around the parks, people do not look where they're going. They're either taking photos, they're on their phones, they're chatting, and I definitely found, like being in my wheelchair, a lot of people like tripped over me, they tried to step over my chair, or just completely ignored the fact that I was there. And it kind of, I don't know whether it is any different to going to any other theme park or going to like a big city or anything, but it was something that I noticed quite a lot, that I just felt a little bit invisible, and a lot of people just didn't even acknowledge that maybe I might need a little bit more space, or you know, that I was there. However, I do want to put change the side of that a little bit and say, although there were a lot of people that stepped over my chair and tripped over me and pushed me out the way and stuff, there were also a lot of like really nice people there. So I had people who opened doors for me. There was a time when my wheelchair got stuck in the tram lines that go down Main Street, and we couldn't, like, because I was with my sister, we couldn't get me out of the tram line, and this guy came over and like helped lift my chair out of the tram line, which was really nice. There were a lot of people who would like move out the way to let me through if I was trying to get through somewhere. So, you know, there's both sides to the story, but I wanted to just put both across, because that was my experience. And you know, if you're in a wheelchair, sometimes that kind of environment can be quite overwhelming and quite difficult, so it's quite good if you can just prepare yourself for how it might be. And obviously it's going to be different, like when different people go, because it's going to be different people there all the time, but that was kind of how I found it when I was there. Also, when you're in the park, if it is your birthday or if you're celebrating something, I would really recommend going to either the town hall, or I think it was like the Donald desk in the studios, and getting a badge. So I got a birthday badge because we were there for my 30th birthday, and I wasn't really sure like what the benefit would be to getting a badge, because like I popped it on my lanyard, and I kind of thought, well, you know, is anyone actually going to care? But I had so many people wishing me happy birthday, like cast members, characters, even like members of the public that were there would come over and like say happy birthday to me, or like ask me like, oh, like when's your birthday, how old are you, all this kind of stuff. So it was a really good conversation starter. And also I found by having my birthday badge on, I got quite a lot of like pixie dust, which is like, I don't know, like treats from people. So a couple of the shops that I went into, the cast members were so lovely. They saw that it was my birthday and told me to wait, and then they went off and came back with a present for me, which was just really nice, and like an extra like magic touch that just made the whole holiday that little bit more magical. So yeah, definitely get a badge, like a birthday badge, or I think you can get like anniversaries, or if you're celebrating anything, it's definitely worth doing. I would also say that you should, if you're staying in a Disneyland hotel, make use of the extra magic hours, so you get a little bit of extra time before the park opens to the general public that you can go in. I think the times vary depending on the time of the year, but I think we could go in from about 8 o'clock, 8:30. And the parks are a lot quieter, so it's really good if you're wanting to take photos around the park without like lots and lots of people there, but also if you're wanting to go on rides without having to queue quite so much. The extra magic hours are really good for that. There are also some characters around, I think, during those times that you can like try and meet. Not all of them are around, and I don't think all the rides are open, but we definitely like made use of it on a couple of days and found we got quite a lot done before the general public had even come in. So yeah, I definitely recommend making use of that if you have got it. Something else that we found really worthwhile was the photo pass. It's not cheap, but if you make good use of it, it quickly like pays back what you would have paid for all those individual photos that you got. So we didn't go on a lot of the rides that you can get photos from. So we didn't go on like the Rock and Roller Coaster, we didn't go on Space Mountain, but we did go on Buzz Lightyear and what's it called, Pirates of the Caribbean and Big Thunder Mountain, and we went on them a few times, so we got quite a few photos from that. And then we also got a lot of character photos from like when we met characters in the parks. We got a lot of photos from them on our photo pass, and they're really nice photos as well, and it just took a bit of like the worry away of us trying to get our own photos in those situations, and it just meant we could relax a bit more. I will say that there are a lot of characters in the parks where they don't have a photo pass photographer, which I think is a real shame, because I think we could have got a lot more photos. Like a lot of characters we met, they didn't have a photo pass photographer, so we couldn't get photo pass photos and we had to take our own. So it's a shame that they kind of don't have that. I think when you go to Florida, they have a lot more photo pass photographers. They have them like by the castle and stuff, whereas we didn't see any kind of like walking around, which was a bit of a shame. But we definitely like got our money's worth for the photo pass, and I would definitely go with doing it again, I think. Another tip that I would give you for when you're in the parks is, if you're in a group of people, you don't always have to go around together. We kind of started off by all 5 of us trying to go around together, and it just wasn't working. Like we all wanted to do different things, and if we'd done it all together, we just wouldn't have got everything done. So we had some time where we would split up. So often my like 2 sisters would go off together and I'd stay with my mum and dad, and we'd do like the different things that we wanted to do, and then we'd get back together and do stuff we wanted to do as a family. And yes, it's meant to be a family holiday, but you don't have to spend all your time together, and I think once we'd kind of realised that, it worked a lot better and it was a lot less stressful, and we enjoyed the time we were together as a family more because we weren't kind of with each other all the time, like having to do things that we didn't all necessarily want to do. So yeah, I would definitely, like, if you like, don't feel bad about having to split up sometimes. I would also really recommend the stunt show in the studios. We had my dad with us and we're kind of a little bit worried that he might not enjoy, you know, all the sort of like character meet and greets and stuff. Like, it just wasn't his thing. So we wanted to make sure that we had some stuff to do that he would enjoy, and he really loved the stunt show. So if you're into like cars or action or anything like that, I mean, I really enjoyed it too. I would definitely recommend giving it a try because it was really good. Like, it's in French and it's in English, so you can kind of understand it wherever you're coming from. And just the stunts were amazing. There was like fire and like guns and car chases. It was fantastic. So yeah, I would definitely recommend giving that one a go. And then also, like, I suppose possibly the most important thing is just prepare yourself for the fact that you're not going to do everything. There is so much to do, and I mean, we were there from Monday to Friday and we still didn't get to do everything like in the parks. So I think you need to kind of go knowing that you're not going to get everything done, because otherwise you're just going to be like running around the parks trying to get everything done, and I don't think it would be as enjoyable. So just limit yourself and like make a list of like the things that you definitely want to make sure you get done. And, you know, if there's time later on, then you can get some other things done as well. But yeah, just don't try and do everything because you will just wear yourselves out. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is eating, because I think eating is a very big part of going to Disney. You know, whatever you're doing, you're gonna need to eat while you're there. So the first thing that I would say that we learned is that getting a meal plan was definitely worth it for us. We did question it a little bit beforehand, like, you know, oh, is it a bit of a gimmick? Do we actually need a meal plan? Can't we just do it as we go along? We went for the half board meal plan, and I think we went for plus, I think. So it's like not the standard, but not the premium, the one in the middle. And that worked pretty well for us. And we kind of worked out that if we hadn't had that meal plan, we would literally have spent hundreds of pounds on food. So we saved a lot of money by getting that meal plan. We still had to buy our lunches, and I do kind of wonder if we should have maybe got the full meal plan. But definitely getting the meal plan for us worked out well, because we would have paid so much more money if we hadn't had it. A couple of restaurants that I would really recommend. Bistro Chez Remy was the first restaurant we went to, and it was fantastic. The theming was probably the best restaurant we'd been to, and the food was delicious. Like, we had steak, and it was one of the best steaks that I've ever had. So yeah, I would definitely recommend giving that a try if you get the opportunity, because it wasn't, we had to pay a bit extra because it's not on the, oh no, it was on the plus meal plan. They have two different menus, so they have the plus and they have the premium. So we went for the plus meal plan, and yeah, it was really, really good. We all enjoyed that one. I would also really recommend some of the buffets, especially if you're in a big group. They worked really, like most of the other meals we did were buffets, and they worked really well for us. So we did Cape Cod, we did Hunter's Grill, and we did Inventions. And the foods are similar in all three, but there are differences. And it just meant that there was something that all of us would like. We all had different things, and you could just keep going back up for more. My dad particularly loved it. And yeah, it was really, really nice food. So I would recommend, like, if you've got a variety of people in your group, a buffet is definitely a good way of like making sure that everyone's catered for. We also did the Plaza Gardens character breakfast, and I would recommend it, but I would say, you know, it's good fun, but we found it quite rushed and quite like manic. The interactions with the characters were quite rushed. You know, it was very much sort of like, get your autograph book signed, get a picture, and then they're gone. Just because I think there's like set times, they only have a very sort of small set time slot, so they have to get around everybody in that time slot before the restaurants start preparing for the next like sitting. So it was a good way of like meeting characters without having to queue in the parks and getting their autographs and stuff. But I'm not sure that I would go back and do it again, just because I found it very, very rushed, and I found it quite difficult to actually like sit down and eat the meal because it was so like mad in there. But I think it's something like, you know, it's something to try once. And yeah, give it a go if you can. If it's something that you can afford to do, then it's worth trying, I think. I would also really recommend for lunch eating from some of the small sellers that are outside the Ratatouille ride. As you kind of go down the slope towards like Bistro Chez Remy and the Ratatouille ride, there are lots of little sort of huts, and each one is selling food from a different region of France, and I think they also had like a vegan one there as well. And they smelt like amazing. We went to, I think it was the Brittany one, and had crepes, but they had so many different things, and it was just like, I suppose it was like more traditional French food than perhaps some of the restaurants. It works, I suppose, a bit better if it's not like tipping it down with rain, because obviously you have to sit outside to eat. But yeah, we really enjoyed our lunch from there, and like the prices weren't too bad, and it was just, I suppose, more of like a casual lunch, but being able to taste like authentic French food. So I definitely recommend checking those out. And then talking about character meals again, we went to the Inventions character dinner, which is at the Disneyland Hotel, and that was fantastic. If you get a chance to do it, then do it, because that was by far like probably the highlight of my holiday. The food at Inventions was like beautiful, amazing food. They had macarons for dessert, which I was very happy about, but yeah, like all the food was fantastic. And then the character interactions were like, yeah, second to none. They came round to us more than once. Like we saw, like Mickey was like constantly coming round, and there was far more interaction at that dinner than there was at the breakfast. Like Mickey would sit down at our table and like pretend to eat with us, and it was just brilliant. Like I was kind of a bit worried because we were an all adult group. I was a bit worried like that we would be too old, but it just went fantastically. Like even my parents enjoyed it, I think, and if I could, I would definitely do it again. If you're doing the Inventions character dinner, I would also really recommend booking like a fairly late time for dinner. We didn't do this on purpose, but our dinner, I mean, we booked our dinner for like 7:30, I think, and we just took our time over it. Like they didn't rush us or anything, and we were still there when the fireworks started by the castle, and we were really lucky. Like where we sat, there was a window that basically overlooked Main Street and the castle, so we could start watching the fireworks from like the comfort of the dining, like from the restaurant. And to make it even better, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck came over and started watching the fireworks with us, and it was perfect. Like I just, yeah, it was the highlight of my trip. So yeah, I would definitely recommend booking a later sitting so that you can then watch the fireworks from the windows, because it was so magical. I loved it. And then also, if you're planning to book a birthday cake, which is what we did for my birthday, I would also really recommend booking it when you're having a character meal, because for my birthday cake, the characters came out with my birthday cake, and then like Tigger was there and he wanted to like dance with me for the song, and it just made it like that little bit more special. I mean, you can book, I think you can book a birthday cake for most meals, and the like cast members will bring it out and you'll like get sung to and stuff, but I just think having the characters there was just such a great way to start my 30th birthday, and it's something that I will never forget. I've then got a few tips for you around shopping, because there is a lot of shopping involved in going to Disney. Well, there doesn't have to be, but there is a lot of shopping there. So the first thing that I would recommend is to look around the shops and the Disney Village when either the parade's on or when the fireworks are on. Now obviously I'm not saying miss the parade and the fireworks, but if you kind of plan to do those on certain days, when you're not doing those, I would recommend looking around the shops, because everyone is going to be watching the parade or the fireworks. So it means the shops are a lot more empty and it's a lot easier to look around, especially when you're in a wheelchair. I think it was like on the first night, went into World of Disney, which is in the Disney Village, just as like the fireworks had finished, and oh my goodness, I have never seen a shop so busy. We could barely move. It was just crazy. But then we did it on other days when the parade was on or when the fireworks were on, and it was so nice because there was hardly anyone in there. So yeah, definitely like plan into your time doing that while those things are taking place. I would also say don't leave all your shopping till the last day. So we looked in shops kind of every day basically, but kind of thought, oh, I don't want to buy anything until like I've seen everything, and then wait till the end. But the problem is we got to the last day and then we were like, oh, I want to go back and get this, and I need to go to that shop and get this, and it just got quite like manic, and we didn't manage to get the things we wanted to get because we were running out of time. So I would say don't leave it all till the last day. Like, I know you want to kind of take everything in before you decide what you're going to buy, but yeah, make sure it's not like on the last day just while you're waiting to try and get back to your train, because it just gets too manic and too stressful. And then also, if you are in a Disney hotel, you can actually get your shopping sent back to your room. So if you buy, I don't know, like a big old statue or a piece of art or something, and you're thinking, I don't want to carry this around the park with me for the rest of the day, you can give them your like little magic card and they will get it taken back to your Disney hotel, so that you can just pick it up from your Disney hotel like when you go back to go to bed, which I think is a really good thing to do, because although I guess it then makes you like forget that you've done all this shopping, so you're like, oh, I don't have much shopping, I can do some more. But it does just make life a bit easier, I think. So I've then got some tips about things like parades, illuminations, characters, all that kind of like extra magical stuff. And the first thing that I would say is make sure you get to the parade or the fireworks as early as possible, even if you've got an access card, because I had an access card, and although there is space for you, it can be quite difficult to get in, especially the fireworks. Like, we got there like a bit late, and trying to get through all the crowds to get to the access area was a bit of a nightmare. Like, thankfully a cast member saw us and they were like, right, this way. But yeah, definitely, like, if you want a good view, get there early, because it crowds up really quickly. I would also say try and watch the parade a couple of times from different places. So the first day we watched the parade from the access spot, which is quite near where they like first come out. And then I think it was on our last day we watched them from like the top of Main Street, and I found actually that the top of Main Street was a lot better because you could see more. So I would, yeah, if you can, try and watch it like more than one day in different places, because you can get different photos and see different characters and all that kind of stuff. I will also say people will try and push in front of you when you're like waiting to see the parade or the fireworks, even if you're in like an access area. Like, I was in my chair like at the front waiting to watch the fireworks, and people would try and push in front to stand in front of you. So you do have to kind of hold your ground a bit and be like, excuse me, hang on, look, I've queued to be in this place first, can you not stand in front of me because I can't see? Which is a shame, but I don't know, I think sometimes people just kind of lose their minds a bit and end up, being like, I need to get to the front, I need to get to the front. So yeah, just like, if you have got there early and have got a good space and someone comes and stands in front of you, just say to them, look, excuse me, I'm in a wheelchair, if you stand there I can't see, and I've waited here for a long time to be able to see it from here, could you please move? I would also really recommend, if you're looking to meet characters and you're in a Disney hotel, each morning in a Disney hotel, like down near reception, there will be a character meet and greet. So I'd recommend going to see the character that's there, because it will save you having to queue in the park. For us, we found it better to wait towards like the end of the time they were there, like after we'd had our breakfast, because the queue was a lot shorter. And it just meant we got to meet a lot of characters without having to go and queue in the park, which saved us time for then going on rides and stuff. This might seem like a bit of a like common sense one, but I'd also just say, like, be friendly and interact with cast members and be nice to them, because I saw some people who were just not, I don't know, like not very nice to them, like they were like maybe not treating them particularly well, and then I saw other people and ourselves who actually took the time to just talk to them and say hello and stuff, and they really appreciated it. And you know, it just, you know, yes, they're doing a job there, but it doesn't mean that you can be horrible to them or, you know, blame them for stuff if it's not their fault. And you know, we found that we had some really good interaction with cast members and the characters because we'd been nice and because we just stopped to talk to them. So I know it you know, it should be common sense, but just be nice to people and, you know, it will get you a long way. We used the extra magic hours a couple of times, and we were hoping to book appointments to see characters because you can do that if you've got an access card, but you can't book appointments with characters during early extra magic hours, because we thought, oh, we'll go in early, we'll get like bookings made, and then we'll go back and have breakfast. But it didn't work like that. The character bookings don't open until the general public can come into the park. So yeah, I wish I'd kind of known that, because we wasted a bit of time trying to book appointments and stuff. But I would say make sure as soon as the park opens, if you're wanting to book appointments with characters and you've got an access card, get in there like ASAP, because the bookings fill up really quickly. But yeah, I would just literally make it your first thing to go around to the characters you want to see, get your bookings in, and then you can kind of relax and go back to them when your booking kind of comes. Something to look out for after the fireworks. So when you are walking down Main Street and just as you're about to come out of the park, you kind of go underneath the railway and there's a balcony. If you look up there, Mickey Mouse will be up there and he waves like goodbye to you after the fireworks. So definitely like look up, because if I hadn't looked up, I think I would have missed him, because there's so many like people trying to get out. But yeah, he's up on the balcony like waving and talking to people. So definitely watch out for him when you're leaving the park. And then also, once the fireworks are over, like you will probably get told like, okay, now it's time to leave the park. But if you wait around for a bit, the cast members didn't seem to mind people doing it. Once the crowds have died down a bit and stuff, you can get some really good photos like on Main Street and then in front of the castle and stuff without any people there. So I would definitely recommend giving that a try, like if you can wait that long. And you're wanting to get those kind of photos, that's definitely the time, like the best time to do it. A couple of like disability things now. I've been talking about the access card, and I would massively recommend getting one. We got the green one because of the disabilities that I have. You can also get an orange one for like temporary disabilities and stuff. And it has loads of different things that you can tick depending on what your disability is. And basically it just means that you can like get to the front of queues in rides without having to like queue. You can meet characters without having to queue, like things like that. And it just made our life so much easier. Because like I don't have a huge amount of energy, if I'd have had to queue for all the rides I wanted to go on, I wouldn't have been able to do very much. So this just meant we could like fully enjoy our time there without the stress of like queuing and then having to go and rest and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, go to like the town hall or the Donald desk or things like that, and you can get your card. Make sure you've got evidence. Check on the website like what evidence you need, because it seems to have changed recently. But yeah, if you're entitled to an access card, definitely get one. And also when you're getting the access card, make sure that your whole party is there when you get it. We made the mistake of just me, my mum and my dad going, and so they could only put us three on the access card. So we then had to go back with my two sisters to get them added to the access card, because for rides you can have 4 other people with you. For the illuminations and the parade, I think you can have 2 other people with you, but they all need to be there at the time you get your access card to make sure their names are on it. So yeah, make sure you're all there. I would also just say pace yourself. So make sure you schedule in some quiet time, because it is exhausting being at Disney. It's taken me months to recover from it. So make sure, you know, you like schedule in some time to just rest and relax. Even if you're not disabled, I think it wears you out, and you can't be going like 24/7. You need some time to just go and get a drink or go back to your hotel room for a while and just chill out. And then the last thing I would say is, if you've got an access pass, when you get to a ride, look for the disabled sign, because that will tell you where you need to go in. Some rides it's like at the exit, other rides have like a special disabled entrance. So don't go and queue in like the main queue. Make sure you're actually looking for the disabled entrance, because that will save you a lot of like hassle of trying to like queue and stuff. And if you don't know where it is, just ask, because someone will tell you. They're all really helpful, like cast members and other people. Like we made friends with other like disabled families, and yeah, we kind of like helped each other out and stuff. So yeah, just definitely ask people. I thought I would finish the video by talking about things that I would want to do if I went back again that perhaps I didn't get a chance to do this time, and then also things that I maybe wouldn't do again. So things that I would really like to do if we went back again, I'd really like to go for afternoon tea at the Lucky Nugget. I didn't know about it until after I got back, that you could go for afternoon tea there and meet characters and stuff. But I've seen pictures and stuff since, and it's something that I would really love to be able to do. I would also go on the Ratatouille ride, because we didn't get a chance to do it this time because no one would go on with me. But yeah, if I went back, I would really want to try and give that one a go, because I just wanted to try it out and I've heard so many good things about it. I would also definitely want to meet the princesses. I didn't meet any princesses this time, so I'd perhaps do like the princess lunch, character dining this, like if I went back another time, just so that I could meet some of the princesses. I don't know whether I'd queue, because the queues to meet princesses are just crazy, but I think maybe doing the princess lunch might be quite a good way of like getting around that. Something I would really do is just to stop and look around a bit more. We were so busy of like trying to get things done that I didn't really just take the time to like take photos and just appreciate like all the little like decorations and stuff like that. So I think if I went back, I would just maybe chill out a bit more, take some more photos, and just enjoy like looking at stuff a bit more. I would also take my electric wheelchair. I would make sure I could get a wheelchair space on the Eurostar, because although I had my manual wheelchair, it meant that I didn't have much independence in like being able to go off and do things that I wanted to do. I had to be pushed around, and yes, it was great that I could be pushed around, but I would definitely make sure I could have my electric wheelchair next time. Something that I didn't manage to do that I would really like to do next time is to try some Disney snacks. They have so many like in the cafes and in the bakery and the sweet shop and stuff of like Mickey shaped things, and I just didn't try anything. So I would definitely make sure I try some Disney snacks next time I'm back there. Something else I missed out on doing was going to see the dragon under the castle, which I'm really annoyed about, because we went past it so many times and we could have just popped in to see it. But that's definitely on my list for if we ever manage to go back again. And I would also really love to go for like a specific season, so for like spring or Halloween or even Christmas. The decorations just look amazing, so I would really love to go back like at a different time of year and experience like the differences, because when we went it was the 25th anniversary, so all that was up, so it would be really nice to see some like different stuff. And then things that I wouldn't do again, I obviously wouldn't do Star Tours again because it made me ill, and I probably wouldn't bother doing Snow White again, just because I think once you've done it once, it's quite similar to like the Pinocchio ride and Peter Pan. It's quite similar. I loved Peter Pan, so I would definitely do that again, but the Snow White one just wasn't really for me. But apart from that, there's so much other stuff that I would just love to go back and do again. And yeah, as you can tell, I had a really, really great time at Disney, and I hope you found it helpful just hearing my report and some of my tips that I've picked up. I'd love to hear if you're planning a Disneyland Paris trip, whether you've like picked up any tips along the way as well. I haven't got any plans to go back to Disneyland Paris, but I would love to go back, and I'd love to do Florida one day as well. It's kind of, that's the dream. But yeah, maybe one day, I don't know. But yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also press the little notification bell, which is next to the subscribe button, so that you get notified about when I upload videos. If there's any other Disneyland Paris videos you'd be interested to see, do let me know, because I'm more than happy to keep making Disney videos. But yeah, until I see you again, I will say goodbye. Bye.